right, guys. Well, welcome back to the adventures of the albino rhino. This week we've got a very special guest, just like all of our other special guests that we've ever had before. This week we've got a Mr. Patrick Harney. Patrick Harney is an actor, producer, just all around entertaining kind of guy. We like I said, welcome you back to the damn show. It's early in the morning when we're recording this, so my brain's still kind of fuzzy. Guys, you're just gonna have to bear with us for this one, and pray that my fuzzy brain is the only problem we have. These technical difficulties, thanks to COVID, have been complete shit, but we're here and we're here. So, Patrick, why don't you go ahead and begin the episode by giving everybody a little bit of an introduction into who you are, what you do, and why you're doing it.
Yeah, well, I'm an act. I mean, like you said, I'm an actor producer. Yeah, just overall, I just like to entertain people. I like to, try to brighten up people's lives. I guess you know what I mean. Yeah, I've been doing it for, oh man, I've been doing it for over 10 years now. Granted, I started when I was 13, but um, yeah, I've just been grinding and grinding. I started in musical theater, and now I'm kind of branching over into film. I've been doing film for the last, I don't know, 5 years now, and yeah, it's been great. I love it. I love every second of filmmaking. I love every part of you know the the process, and it can be very tedious. It can be very stressful sometimes, but overall, when you get the final product, it's always well worth it.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, our host James isn't here because he is the film guy of the show. He went to college for all that film production goodness. I'm
Okay.
just the comedic guy who does the audio stuff. So I don't
Well,
know.
hopefully you're funny then, right?
I mean, I try. I don't know if you ask my wife, she's like, "Well, I don't know why the fuck you do this to people," but it's a matter of perception, I guess.
Yeah.
But you're up in Michigan, right?
I am, yeah.
Awesome. So, are you happy you didn't move to Hollywood?
Yeah, I mean, I've been there a few times, whether it be for work or, or just a visit. And, it's, I don't know, man. I'm used to four seasons, and I don't know. It's not a bad place, for anywhere by any means. It's just, it's expensive. Um, but two, I don't know, man. I like being by family. Um, I like the landscape here, and yeah. So I mean, who knows? Maybe I'll move there one day, but most likely not. So
I mean, you don't really, there's one thing I've learned from a lot of the comedians that I follow throughout the past, 7 months, 8 months, however long this year's been so far. So you don't really have to live out there. I mean, a year ago, I moved back to Ohio to do some things, and the comedy career is really one of the things that has ended up coming out of that because I'm like, fuck it. Uh, what am I doing with my life? Making a living, actually earning money, you know. But the Midwest isn't bad, man. It's really not bad. It's a nice place to live, and a lot of these Hollywood guys are getting out because they're like, we only lived here for work, and we don't even have to live here to do what we do. So
yeah.
now everybody's starting to take off. So because it's like you said, it's so hard to do uh, a lot of what we do, either on your side, on the film side, or musical theater side, or whatever it is, acting that you're doing or producing.
Hmm.
But I mean, it's hard to do anything with doing stand up right now, man. I mean, getting booked, even though things are finally open, although
Kind
limited.
of, not really. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's here in Ohio, we're pretty open. There's a lot
Mm.
of shows that are going on, but it's it's hard enough being a local comic getting booked in the first place because
Yeah.
uh there's not a lot of shows, and there's a lot of people who think they're funny. But
Yeah.
but now it's like even the people who know they're funny are like, fuck, we got to get booked for everything because
Yeah.
we don't know how long we have until they potentially shut everything back down. They just issued a new rule at the end of last week where bars can't serve alcohol after 10 and have to shut down at 11.
Hmm.
Like you just cut out an entire show.
Yeah.
Like there goes the late show. That's gone.
Yeah.
I've
Well,
lost.
I know Joe Rogan is moving to Texas, and I think Joey Diaz might be moving to Texas also. But I know like Brian Callen and Brendan Schaub, they were talking about moving, and um, all pretty much the whole LA comic scene is trying to get out. So
Yeah. I mean, well, Joey announced on his show on what, the first, second, I don't know, whatever the fuck, the third. It was the
mhm.
third because
The third was Monday. Yeah.
there's airs after we record. So I always get dates of.
Oh,
It's like trying to remember where I'm at in a scheme of time's already hard enough.
yeah.
But he said on the third that he's moving back to Jersey. Lee is gonna go back home for a while to hang out with the mom and stuff, and they're gonna regroup and figure out what they're gonna do throughout the meantime. I mean, it's just for us, it's hard because we have to have live people. At least you
Yeah.
guys, I've talked to a couple other people who are in the film industry, and I mean, they're working. It's ridiculous because they spend like the first 3 hours on set making sure nobody has COVID every
Oh,
day.
yeah, man.
You know what I mean? And then, that adds more money to the budget. And the couple people I've talked to are like, it's a fucking nightmare.
Yeah.
Uh, and I think,
Well, there's a guy that I talked to that his production, um, SAG sent a 37-page, um, I guess manual. I don't know, on like COVID protocols that they have to follow. And they have to read it all, which I get. I mean, the last thing anybody would ever want is, a film set to get shut down because somebody tests positive for COVID while they're filming, and then it gets everybody else. I mean that would suck. That would be terrible. But I mean they're doing a lot of limited crews. They're doing a lot of limited cast films right now. Like I might be getting involved with a film where the cast is only like maybe 7 people total. So yeah, it's definitely interesting times, and films are selling for really cheap right now. There's just everything is just has been kind of blown up by this whole thing. So I'm just hoping that we can get past it and quicker, sooner than later. And yeah, I don't know, man.
yeah, I hear you, man. I mean, it's weird because, I mean, with you being on both sides of the fence, acting and now trying to produce, you've got a production that you're working on getting produced. It's one of the things me and James were talking about off the show, just, independently, because there's a lot of different things that we're working on together to try and get put together, and
Hmm.
it's like we were already planning on doing it all on ourselves, without money backers or any of that kind of stuff. Because it's comedy, man.
Yeah,
You could sell tickets to shows. That's there's more options for us. But just the ability that people are finding to put out their own content now. I'm interested to see how that shakes everything up, especially for you guys, because up until the beginning of this year, the studios had a stranglehold on everything that you guys did. Comedians were starting to break out of that mold, to get away from like Comedy Central and all that kind of stuff. I mean, heck, Comedy Central fired all their executives. So many comics jumped ship. They were like, we don't need you and you
yeah,
suck. So we're gone.
yeah,
And then Comedy Central was like, yeah, you guys are all fired because they're right. But, you've got this production that you're working on, Locker 42. Is that kind of the vein that you're thinking about doing things now? Is just doing it all yourself? Like, why do we need the big studio? Why do we need the big distribution? Let's just do it all on our own. Or are you still trying to go the traditional model with it?
No, I think it's a good. I mean, that's a good point. I mean, you were already starting to see much better content be put out by independent, film studios, and yeah, you have the big blockbuster budgets, but if you're not a Marvel movie and if you're not a Fast and Furious movie, um, you know, it's going to be hard to have a massive budget and make money off it. I mean, that's just how it is. Unless you're a genius like Christopher Nolan, who, is just a master of the art, in my opinion. Um, but yeah, I mean, with Locker 42, we're obviously we're trying to find investors. I mean, that's always the hardest part is getting the money and getting the movie financed. We've got some good conversations going right now, but those they're conversations, until we see dollar signs, um,
It doesn't
or
matter. It doesn't
exactly.
count until you get the check.
Yeah. I mean, building the relationship is always good, but in terms of trying to get things done, you need that cash. And I mean, with Locker 42, what's cool about it is it's a really, really cool story. It's a crime thriller, and part of it takes place in like 1994. Part of it takes place in the present day, and um, and what's cool is you kind of see two storylines: the 1994 storyline, and you see the present day storyline. Kind of they're taking their own pathway, and then you see them kind of tie up together toward the end, and you see them kind of um, you see why you've been watching two storylines the whole time. And I mean, we've already got some great talent attached to it. We have Larry Hankin,
Yeah, I
who comes
love
in.
Larry. I love
Yeah,
Larry. I just
yeah,
talked to him yesterday, and man, I tell you what, it's that talking to Larry, my leg went numb because I sat here for so long. I was like, we normally only go an hour, but fuck, I love this guy, and
yeah.
he's been in so many. Sorry,
No, it's okay.
I nerd out on certain people, and Larry's always been one of them. And after getting to know him a little bit, I just love him even more. So man, he's
Yeah, yeah. No, he's a great guy for sure. Um, yeah, he was huge to be able to. I remember talking with him on the phone, and we had a great conversation, and um, you know, and then we also have Michael Harney, who was actually my cousin, but he was Sam Healy in Orange Is the New Black. He was in the first season of True Detective with McConaughey and Woody Harrelson. He was in Bradley Cooper's A Star Is Born. I mean, he's you've seen him.
yeah.
He's one of those guys where he's been around the block for decades and decades, and now he's doing a lot of stuff with Apple TV Plus, and so we have him, and then we also have Richard Karn as well, who played Al in Home Improvement,
Nice.
um, and so yeah, so we have him as well. We have our sights on a few other actors that we want to try and get attached to the project, but I mean, with a lot of the bigger names, they want to see funding. You know what I mean? They want to
Yeah.
see a project that's funded. But then again, investors want to see big names. So it's kind of a catch-22. And but yeah, I mean, we are going to be having an Indiegogo campaign that's going to be going up here pretty soon. And with that because we kind of wanted, I mean, all of us that are involved in the project so far have had a lot of people that have been able to support us over the years and have believed in what we do. And so, with the point of the Indiegogo campaign, is we want to try and give people a way that they can get involved without feeling like, oh, well, if I can't give, 50 grand, then I guess I don't have a shot of being a part of it. With this, they can, we have perks starting from $25 all the way up to $50,000. And and people can kind of choose where they want to, how they want to get involved, and and that way it gives some people the opportunity to be a part of something that not many people can say they've been a part of in their lifetime or will be a part of in their lifetime. You know, um, and to us that was very important, because it's a very unique experience being a part of a film, and I think it's really interesting for, like, I love seeing people who it's their first time being on a set or first time seeing and witnessing everything, and it's and it's like virgin state, I guess, and kind of see like, oh, so this is how it's made. Like, I had no idea there's so much more that goes into it. That's always the biggest feedback that I always hear from new uh people is, there's so much more that goes into it than I ever thought of. I thought it's, because most people just think of like the actor, the director, the guy who's holding the camera, and the writer. And that's pretty much all that people really think about in terms of films. But there's so many jobs that films create, even though it's a short amount of time. There's so many jobs that it creates, and so that's what I love.
Well, I mean, it's you guys are all gig workers, and I like that you guys are doing an Indiegogo, man. That's cool. I like that for films because it helps people get invested in the film before it ever even comes out. I mean,
Exactly.
uh, uh m- one of the best, I think, illustrations of that whole model was Super Troopers 2.
Mm.
Nobody wanted to do the movie. Nobody wanted to fucking do it. So they were like, fuck it. We'll see if the fans want it. If the fans want it, we'll make it our own damn self. They pay
Yep.
for it, we'll fucking give it to them. And that blew up, blew up.
Hmm.
Uh, and they made an awesome movie and got to basically give everybody who told them that nobody wanted to see another one the finger. And I
Yeah.
love it, man. I love the first one, love the second one. So that's one of the that was kind of the point of why I brought up this the way I brought it up, is that you don't have to go to Universal anymore to get the money for whatever. You can go out and find the fans before you ever even have a chance to do it, you know?
Exactly. Yep.
And you're giving people that opportunity to be connected to something that 5 years ago you didn't have a chance to be connected to a movie. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? You would have to be in the movie to have your name in the credits. That was one of
Yeah.
the cool parts about doing the Super Troopers thing. Like, everybody who saw that movie, they saw your name at the end of that shit. You could be like, sit there with your family and be like, look, there's me on the fucking screen,
Yeah.
knowing damn well they'll never be in anything in their entire life. So it's awesome, man. I like that you're doing that. That's really cool. Um,
Well, also it allows people to kind of take some ownership too. Kind of like what you were saying is they they can get more involved, before, or that they can get invested into the film and involved into the film before it even gets made. And typically, if people feel like they have some ownership of something, they care a lot more about it, and they start telling people about it. And they say, hey, actually, yeah, did you coming out? I just invested in a movie, and it's, I'm going to be able to visit the set for a day, and I can meet all these actors, and it's gonna be awesome. And then when they go and see it, that's when it's a conversation piece. When they go and see it, they say, hey, actually, I got to visit the set that day because I invested. Oh, look, there's my name in the thank yous.
yeah.
Did you see that? Like, it's all getting people involved and getting people excited, and um, you know and at the same time, all of us who are the filmmakers and the artists, we get to be able to do what we love to do without anybody having to say, you have to do this, this, and this, and this. Like, no, no, we're going to do it our way. Um, and to kind of go on your point too of doing your own stuff. I mean, during this whole thing, during this whole pandemic and whatever, I started writing a comedy series just because I was like, studios, companies, everything, they're going to need content. And so, it's important that people, um, you know, make stuff, start making your own projects, and, create, even if it's just writing a script and you try and sell it, it's at least getting it out there. It's at least getting something that you created out into the universe. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think that's really important, especially in times like this. It allows people to keep their brains moving. It keeps things flowing. That's a good thing.
Yeah, and it's not a hard. Well, it is a hard hobby. Shit. I mean, just writing fucking jokes, man. Sometimes is a pain in the ass. I'll go like a week staring at my computer, like, what the fuck?
Yeah, yeah.
and
I couldn't imagine having to try and do that. I could never just sit down and just like craft a set like that. That always blows my mind when people can do that.
well, to me, it's I was a salesman for 18 years, and that's kind of why I'm older and getting into professional comedy now. I was basically a door-to-door comic for about 10 years, because it's like I was a lot like that guy. You probably seen him on YouTube or whatever. The dude who sells cleaner door to door.
Oh
Makes
yeah.
everybody kind of the same thing, except we sold magazines. So it's we traveled around the country telling people jokes to make them buy expensive shit that they don't want. So I mean, it's pretty much the same thing as a comic does. So to me, it's like I'm crafting a sales pitch, like, and I imagine it's a lot like crafting a script, just much less, much shorter, I guess.
Mm,
Because ultimately, what we're doing is we're trying to take people on a journey, and sell them on why they should laugh at this. I'm a particularly dark and cynical comic, so I'm literally selling people on why they should laugh at this horrific shit that I generally talk about on stage. Um, and that kind of, again, comes into play with you guys because I mean, people go to a movie, they have to be into the movie. There has to be a good story to get them. I mean, now I guess not so much nowadays. I'm not a huge fan of a lot of newer movies because I like a good story. When I talked to Larry, that was one of the things that I was most excited about was talking to him about Escape from Alcatraz. I
oh
mean,
yeah.
dude, such a good movie. And most people aren't aware that's kind of like Shawshank Redemption was basically a remake of that movie.
Hmm.
I mean, it was a different storyline. It was based off of a book, but if you watch Shawshank and you watch Escape from Alcatraz side by side, I mean, it almost perfectly lines up. The way it was
Hmm.
shot, the theories behind lighting, like a lot of the different things that were used in both of those. Now, it falls under the same theory that I probably am writing the same material as some random albino guy in Asia, right? It's just parallel thought, you know.
Hmm.
Escape from Alcatraz was based off of a true story, and Shawshank Redemption was based off of a book. So they're not the same, but uh, you know, uh, that was a good fucking story. Like if you just watched the movie and it didn't have a good, that movie would have been so boring. And it's about
Yeah.
these dudes in prison. They don't go anywhere. They don't do anything. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
they're walking around a fucking dirt yard, like dropping dirt out of their pocket and shit. Like, it's what? If it wasn't a good story, if there wasn't like emotion and shit behind it, and you weren't, and right, that's what I don't know. I don't know where I was going with that. It's just I mean, I
It's
don't
true.
feel
I mean, it's
I
true
don't
though.
I don't feel like a lot of the newer movies have as good of stories as they used to. I think is
Yeah.
where I was going.
Well,
Uh,
and I think, I mean, I think one of my issues with what Hollywood's doing is they're just recycling stuff, you know? I mean, there's no originality anymore. There's no um I don't even know if that's a word, originality, but
yeah, no,
it
it is.
it felt
That's a
right.
word.
But I mean, I think it's important that, there's new stories that come out, and when you just start seeing a bunch of remakes and stuff, it's just like they're getting to the point where they're making remakes of movies that nobody even cared about when the first one came out. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And so I think that's why it's good to, get some fresh faces and fresh
content.
get some fresh content out there, and I think it's important that happens, and I'm excited to see some more of that. I mean, I'm telling you, the streaming services and everything, uh, the content that they're starting to put out is phenomenal. I mean, it's hands down better than anything you'd see on TV. In terms
Yeah,
of cable. I mean,
I
it's
agree. I don't. I
uh,
don't. I haven't watched TV except Golden Girls with my mom. Fuck, I don't know how long. And I love Golden Girls, dude. That show is awesome. That show is so fucking funny.
Yeah,
uh,
I was never big into Golden Girls, but
man, I grew up on it. I watched it whenever I was a little kid because I was like 3 years old. Had to live with my grandma and my mom and stuff. So, you know what I mean. So I mean, I remember that. I think it's one of those memory association things.
yeah, yeah,
Plus,
it's
I'm a
nostalgic.
comedian, so like I enjoy comedy. I mean, there's not a lot of comedy I don't like. Uh, but I
You like
mean,
The Office?
do I what?
You like The Office?
Yeah, I like The Office. I don't really watch it very much, but I
Okay,
mean, it's good.
because I feel like people either love it or they hate it.
Uh,
I
the
love The
only
Office.
man, I could totally get canceled for saying this, but the only kind of comedy that I really, really don't like is men or women who do absolutely nothing to do, like talk about nothing but fucking or their genitals.
Hmm.
Like I don't. I'm sorry, I'm not into it. Like
Yeah, I'm not either.
uh, Eliza Schlesinger is a really good example, I guess, that I could think of off the top of my head. Like I like her as a comic. She writes great material. It's structured awesome. I mean, as a peer, well, not really a peer. She's fucking way richer and more famous than me. But as a fellow comedian, I can understand her material and like it.
Hmm.
Uh, but I've never really sat down and watched much of her stuff because it's just not my thing, which is a cool part about entertainment. There's so
Hmm.
many options out there for people. But everything I've seen of hers, is basically falls into that category. But people change. A year later, I could find something that she does that's fucking hilarious. I saw one thing in Michelle Wolf's, and was like, nope, not into her. And then I listened to her on a podcast, and I'm like, wait a minute, I had the wrong impression of this person. So
Yeah.
it's
Well,
weird.
it's also cool to see people's careers evolve like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
People who can adapt really well to uh, you know to the change and stay. I hate to use the term stay relevant, but they find a different lane, um, and that allows them, opens more doors for them every time they change lanes. And I, because I mean, there's nothing worse than seeing. I guess I can speak for the actors, but or I mean, as an actor, but there's nothing worse than seeing an actor do the same type of movie over and over and over, and the whole time it's just, oh, this is just so and so in this movie, or this is just so and so in this movie, rather than them being the character.
Yeah, the Hallmark Channel.
Why I can't say anything bad about the Hallmark Channel. That's like my mom's favorite. It's like
That's
my
my
mom's
mom's
favorite
favorite
channel.
too, man. And I'd
She
give
loves
her
the Hallmark
shit
movies.
constantly every time anytime I walk by, I'm like, so is this one about a farm? Is
You got
it
a big city guy and a farm boy, and
and a farm? Yeah, big city guy, farm girl, and she's in love with the rich land developer who moved to town to buy all the farms, and she finds out he's gonna buy her farm, and the rich city guy has. It's like they're all
but then she finds her ex who's a farm boy, and so it's
yeah,
like,
and he
yeah,
helps her save her farm by turning it around with a party. You're just like, what the fuck? But hey, man, that's part of what the entertainment industry is. It's making stuff for people that they're going to enjoy. I mean,
yep, yep. There's a big
uh,
following for it, man. I'll tell you what.
that was. I used to talk so much shit about other people's stuff until I really sat down and thought about it and was like, it's just not something I'm into. Why am I talking shit about it? I'm probably still going to make fun of it, but it's there
Well, and
was
the way I see it too is, if they're clearly in a better position than I am. You know what I mean?
yeah,
It's like if
yeah,
I mean, I could sit here and say, you know, that Liam Neeson does the same movies over and over and over again now, which I love Liam Neeson. I mean, that's not dogging on him. But he does the same type of movies now. But then again, I would kill to do those kind of movies. You know what I mean? It's like
yeah,
he's Liam Neeson. I'm not
yeah.
Liam Neeson.
Yeah,
So,
he's definitely
um,
not typecast. He's doing that shit because he wants to.
Yep,
Because
100%.
he doesn't even have to do that shit anymore. That guy's, you know, so yeah, that was actually hard for me to accept as an entertainer. Was like, you know, I really should just not care about. There's a couple bands, like there's some people that I absolutely detest. I don't think that's something that anyone can ever get past. Like Linkin Park, I will talk shit about that fucking worthless band until I die. I hate those guys. Uh, Not personally, just their music. Like their music, I find to be the most revolting shit on the planet. And I like,
Wow,
yeah, I don't
that's
like it, man. I don't like it, man.
strong.
It's, I've
What did they
thrown,
do to you?
uh, well, so my life has been real fucked up, and I have a very positive view of things
Hmm.
now. And it took a lot of effort to look at life the way that I do now. Large amounts of hallucinogens, a lot of reading, a lot of really hard looking at myself and how I looked at the world. Like, I mean, there were a lot of things that I went through to get to where I'm at now. And one of the first things that occurred during this process was me turning, basically deciding that I can't listen to Linkin Park because all their music is fucking depressing.
Mm,
And
yeah.
what really did it for me was whenever they came out that song with that song, I tried so hard and got so far, and in the end, it didn't even really matter.
Hmm.
And the first thought I had, you know, during this self awakening, whenever I heard that song, was, "You motherfuckers are so fucking rich, and you're gonna make a song like this? Are you fucking serious?
Well,
Come
but I
on,
mean,
man."
you got to take a look at Chester Bennington. You know, I mean, he
Yeah,
wrote that.
right.
You know.
And was a miserable fuck. And I get that. I understand where his music is coming from. I get that. But the actual, I mean, even Trent Reznor had happy music, and like he almost blew his brains out living in the Sharon Tate house. Like there are the reason why I feel the way I feel is because there are plenty of people out there with issues
Hmm.
that don't lean on those issues as a source of monetary gain, right? I think there's a community. What is Pete? Oh, what is his last name?
Pete Davidson.
Yeah, Pete Davidson, right? Like he came out and was like, "Yo, I've got all these fucking severe mental issues, and that's just a part of my life, you know."
Hmm.
But he doesn't try and make money off of that. He's like, "I just want to help you people out. So if you ever need somebody to talk to, whatever, you know, what I can't remember what like his whole big thing was." 'Cause it's been a little while, and I pay attention to shit for about 5 minutes, and then I've already forgotten about it because I'm just too busy.
Hmm.
Uh, which is, I'm fine with that. I am 100% fine with that.
Yeah,
I would
it's good to be
rather,
busy.
yeah, man, busy is so good. But I mean, and there's a lot of other people who have done that. Jim Carrey, you know, uh, just, you know, is one of the most beautiful souls on the planet because of the issues that he has. But that's not where he makes his living. I don't man, I feel like it's a crutch whenever you do that. You're leaning on something and making people feel bad for you in general. At least that's how I perceive it from myself. So for me,
Okay.
I can't listen to their music. You know what I mean? Because I feel like Chester's basically whining about how bad his life sucks. Whenever you look at it, it's like, dude, no, make that about your mental issues. Go out and help people. Go out and talk to kids. Be like, yo, I have all these problems, but look at all the things that I've still managed to do with my life. Like, I never felt like that was the venue that he was going with it. Maybe I'm wrong because I totally shut him out of my life. Like, ever since I've heard that song, even if back in the CD days, if somebody would pop like a Linkin Park CD into a car I was in, I would eject it and just throw it out the fucking window. Like, that's how intensely I feel about this shit. And
Wow.
there's a couple people who fall into that category with me, but it's also, I think, a part of being a drug addict. Like, there's certain parts of our lives that we just have to completely close off, or else we know it's just going to be bad for us. So
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
Hmm.
It's life. Everybody's different. That's
Yeah. That's the beauty of it. Everybody's different. Everybody's entitled to their own opinions. Everybody's, had the different life experiences, and it's good to, I think it'd be good if people, um, you know, assumed the best rather than the worst of people more.
yeah. I
And
agree
I
with
think,
that completely.
and I think it'd be good if people kind of stop to think about what that other person might be going through, you know.
Yeah.
Maybe they're having a terrible day, you know what I mean? Like just the other day, I got really mad. Not really, really mad, but I got frustrated. I was in Home Depot. I was with my dad. I was in Home Depot. We were looking at like bungee cords or something. And I'm crouched down at the aisle, and my dad's standing, I don't know, maybe a couple feet from the shelf, and this guy just walks over and just reaches in front of him and grabs something that was in front of me. Didn't say a word, was very close to bumping him, and that really made me mad. Like really made me mad. And then he did it again. Never said a word. And but I had to stop because one, I looked to see how my dad was reacting, and he didn't lose his cool, and he was just, whatever. I mean, everybody's kind of at their wits' end right now.
Yeah.
So, so I'm trying to take that approach more rather than, getting frustrated with little things because it's very easy to do right now. I think it is good that people, you know, try to have some more positivity like yourself. Like you said, you're a very positive person, and I think it's good that people have a positive outlook on things right now. Try to be optimistic. Be overly optimistic, I think, is good.
Yeah. I don't disagree with that. And I mean, there's some people who I think are gonna come out of all of this a little better. But man, if you look at the internet, it ain't better.
Dude,
Oh my God. Like uh,
savages.
just it's so insane some of the things that I'm seeing. Like some of it is good, I mean, a lot of people are sharing, the police brutality stuff. Like, I mean, I'm seeing so many videos of that shit. Uh, so many people are getting shamed because they're pieces of shit. I enjoy that, not only as a comedian, just as a person. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, it sucks for that individual, I suppose, but I think that's kind of how society's meant to work.
Well, I mean, if you bring it upon yourself, you bring it upon yourself. I
Yeah,
don't feel bad for you if you bring it upon yourself. If you're genuinely a terrible person, then what I can't stand is the whole like cancel culture crap. I
yeah.
can't I can't stand that.
Well, it depends.
Um,
It definitely depends. There are certain people that I think should be definitely fucking canceled. But in general, should someone lose everything that they have? No, man. There's very, very few people, who
if you're truly a garbage human being, though, I get it. I get
yeah,
it.
yeah.
But it's the destroying someone's life um, over
Whatever it
something,
is.
yeah, over whatever it is that hasn't even fully gone through the.
The
I
system.
don't- yeah, I don't know what I'm trying to say, but um, if you're in terms of like vetting whatever is going on or whatever's being said or whatever, just automatically assuming, you know, that this person is a pile of garbage. It's like, whoa, wait a minute, let's make sure this is legit, because then if it's legit, then yeah, this person's a pile of garbage. But at the same time, if it's not,
Yeah, like how are you
and you
gonna
just got destroyed,
yeah,
then what?
yeah, exactly. I mean, the comparison I've used for people who, in conversations I've had where people were like, "So what's too far?" And I was like, "Louis C.K." They're like, "What?" I'm like, "Look, man, there's a difference between what Louis did and what Cosby did. They're both fucking creepy. I mean,
Yeah, it was weird.
I'm not saying what Louis did wasn't fucking weird, but if you look at somebody and you're like, "Hey, can I jack off in front of you?" and that other person says, "I don't care," you can't get mad about that fucking later.
Yeah.
You really can't. You really fucking can't. I'm sorry.
Just no, that was just the whole
That's
situation was
that's
so
like
weird, man.
that would be like, if I look back and I'm like, you know what? That time that my friend did this while I was on fucking drugs with him, and I was cool with it. Like, I can't be mad. Why am I gonna get mad at about that now? It shouldn't even be something I'm even fucking.
Like
Maybe if
thinking
that
about.
fucked me up in the head, I should talk to my therapist about it, and maybe go like, "Hey, Lewis, I didn't think it was a big deal, but apparently, according to my therapist, like you jacking off in front of me was an issue, not like, oh my God, Lewis made me watch him jerk off, like it's creepy, but that's not like I'm going to put some Rufinol in your drink and make you pass out and rape you. And then,
I can't believe, man, that was America's Dad for so
dude,
long.
yeah, that was crazy.
It's just
That was,
I remember when hearing about all that coming out, and I was just like, what? I was like, is this the same Bill Cosby? What is this?
I'm,
Yeah, man, that was tough. And but what I just don't understand is why can't people just be decent? I don't understand why,
well, we're all
you know,
fucking weird. We're all
we're all
fucking
weird.
weird.
We're all
So,
weird.
so
But to
something
hear have so many there's so many like instances I feel like, especially in Hollywood, of like people get power and they get money and they just get like extra creepy and weird. It's like, why? Why can't you just be a normal, good human being? Why do you have to be like
because
Harvey
it's
Weinstein and
oh
like oh
he's
my gosh, like those people need to be, you know, they need to have somebody beat the piss out of them or something.
because
I just don't get it.
it's hard, man. It fucks up the human brain. Like that's not really something that we're meant to experience. That level, like Nicolas Cage, or John Travolta, or fucking Tom Cruise, like those guys. Uh, I mean, what the fuck? Like, how are you supposed to deal with the fact that like you can't leave your house without armed people guarding you, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, Jim Carrey, I'm listening to his book right now on Audible, Memoirs and Memories. And I'm like just fucking blown away by how neurotic fame made him.
Mm,
Like he lost his fucking mind. Like I Jesus, I love Jim so much because he's one of those people who's like super famous and is a super good person.
yeah.
And Bill Murray, another guy, super famous, super great person. He'll like crash your wedding and get everybody shit faced and have a good fucking time. Like, can you imagine how wonderful of an experience that would? You'll never forget that ever, ever. No
Yeah.
matter how drunk you get that night, you're gonna wake up the next morning and be like, "Holy fuck, Bill Murray fucked me up," like. But like there was one point. At one point, Jim had gotten so paranoid from the paparazzi and the people trying to talk to him about stuff all the time and just the fame and everything. Like he would be sitting there watching something on TV, completely freaked the fuck out, have to go to his alarm system thing, which holy fuck, he apparently had a hell of an alarm system on his house in Brentwood. And like he would check everything to the point where like he would check his electrified fence to make sure it was working, and he was like there's so much juice going through this fucking fence you could hear it test all the way around the outside of the fence, so it was like
Wow.
yeah,
Jeez.
yeah, like you got your ear right next to a fucking one of those big transformer stations.
Hmm.
It's
But you
just
know what
that
though?
shit
I think
fucks you up.
yeah, but there's plenty of people who become massive stars who are fine. You know what I mean?
Well,
I think it
even the nice
really
ones
has to
get
do with
fucked up. Even the
yeah, they
nice
do.
they get fucked up somehow. Like Gwyneth Paltrow was supposedly one of the nicest people on the fucking planet. I'm
Well,
sorry, that goop
she's
shit is crazy as fuck. Like that
yeah,
woman
it's
is
weird.
out of her mind. But that's hey, she's
But take
happy.
people but take people like Denzel Washington, for example.
Yeah,
He's one of the most recognizable, most famous actors really of all time. And one of, not the most, but one of. I mean, you don't really hear anything about him. He seems to be
true.
pretty level-headed, you know. I truly think it has to do with people's mental strength and mental stability.
Yeah,
Um,
man,
and
it's
but I think it's toughest on comics because I mean, look at Robin Williams.
Yeah, Sam
Yeah,
Kinison.
I mean, he was such a nice. I've never met him, but everything you always hear about him is he was always such a nice guy. I mean, every film that he did, he would always make sure that homeless people and people on the streets were hired to be on the film, whether they're extras or whatever, to help try and give them jobs, you know. But he was one of the funniest people in the ever, one of the funniest people ever.
And he
And
never wrote shit. He was a
yeah,
genius. God, he was a fucking genius.
he had such a dark demon in him. You know, it's just like it's so sad. I mean, look at Jerry Lewis.
Sam
I
Kinison,
mean, he
Richard
was
Pryor, Brody Stevens, super recent guy. Not very many people. I mean, he didn't get super famous, but man, he was super fucking funny. If you know much about comedy, you know Brody Stevens because
yeah,
the guy was fucking. I mean, even the LA Dodgers loved it whenever he came to games because they could put him on the camera and he would just be retarded. You know, just oh wait, I shouldn't. That man, I use words I shouldn't use all the time. Fuck it. Um, it's just the guy was out of his mind, like crazy funny. But just had this demon. Anthony Bourdain, super nice dude.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever heard it say anything, or ever heard anyone in any interview, anywhere say anything bad about Anthony Bourdain. Uh, and he couldn't handle life. Like it's man, life's hard, dude. And
Hmm.
and you either become a raging asshole or you just get nicer because you don't really feel like there's any other option. I
Hmm.
think yeah, that I kind of feel like that's how that plays out. And when you add money and fame and all these people who are like, we love you all the time, like that just makes it so much more complicated because you want to be nice to people, but at the same time, when you hit, you know, uh, somebody kind of mid-level that's like kind of famous but not. I mean, we'll use Rogan, right? He's famous, but he's not so famous that he needs guards. He can still protect himself, you
Hmm.
know.
Yeah.
Um,
One that's the thing too is, one thing. I mean, I talked to a couple people that I know, and in terms of like the paparazzi and everything, it's one of those things where you can kind of control how much of that you want around you. If you make it where, if your life is not that interesting outside of your work, they're not really going to want to, like I won't name names, but there was a certain person who was this is just a story that I have heard. I don't know if it's true or not, but a certain person who was very, very famous for a long time, and paparazzi were chasing her, right? Well, she had a rep tell the paparazzi where she was going to be. Was running around the block, stopped when she turned the corner to wait until the paparazzi caught up, and then started running again. Like that, it's portrayed as, oh, I don't want that, I don't want that, when really they want that. But there are people like, I mean, another example though, like Matt Damon. When was the last time you ever saw Matt Damon in the tabloids? You
yeah,
know, um, so I think there is a way you can kind of control that. But the people who are like insane megastars internationally, that's a whole different ball. That's a whole different ball game. But
I really pray to God I never get there. I don't think I have to worry about it, but I don't want that shit. I don't want it. I'm cool.
I
I
just want to be able to make movies, go home to my family.
Yeah, that's
That's it.
kind of where I'm at, man. I want to be able to go tell jokes and hang out with my kids. Like, um,
Yep.
what's the point of all the other crazy shit? Like, there isn't any. I mean, and if you're in our profession, if you're hunting for that, you're never gonna get it. You're never even gonna get anywhere near it because you're gonna spend every minute of every second trying to get to that point instead of enjoying where you are. You
Hmm.
know. Um, I hope uh one thing I hope for people that I probably isn't going to happen because in general we're idiots as people, Like, I hope this kind of slows people down and lets them live a little bit more in the moment, because
Hopefully.
it'd make things a lot easier on people, man.
In a perfect world.
Yeah, right. But it's never gonna be. But hey, it's what makes the world fun. If there weren't fucking crazy people out there, how would it be interesting, man? There's a dude. Uh, we used to follow him before he passed. His name was the Fed Smoker. He was Your Mom's House podcast found him initially. He's just a crazy fucking tweaker. But man, he was so happy and loved his life so fucking much. Like, you just couldn't help but watch his videos and enjoy it. Like, sure, he had mental problems. And I'm probably have some mental problems for enjoying it as much as I did. But man, the balls this dude had, like, it was just beautiful. I loved him. Sucked whenever he passed. Probably was a drug overdose, but whatever, man. We're all different. I can't
Yeah.
really knock him for what his happiness ended up being. He wasn't hurting nobody. The only people he harassed were cops. This guy would be high as shit on meth and like walk up to sheriffs and be like, "I'm gonna fucking arrest you, motherfucker!" And he cussed out his
Jeez.
city council, told him why he was gonna like brand baby raper on their forehead and shit. Like, this dude was out of his
Jeez.
mind.
Wow.
But hey man, he was making the content for people to enjoy. I'm gonna enjoy it. And I was genuinely sad whenever he passed. But I mean, that's a different kind of crazy than Britney Spears.
Yeah. Yeah.
He did it to
Luckily, she kind
himself.
of got her stuff together, but
I don't know, man. Like, if you follow some of the stuff that's on the internet with her, I don't know, man. The conspiracy theories that surround the Britney Spears experience, you're just like, wow. And some of it I kind of think I get. Like, she was a child star that her parents forced into it. And now she's all weird and acts like she's 11.
mhm.
And her dad still has complete control of her entire life. Like, she's never had the chance to be an adult, I don't think.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. That's one of those instances where you're like, man, getting super famous could just fuck your head all up. And you just turn really, really extra weird.
Yeah.
So, where can people find how they're going to help you out with Locker 42, man? Because, I mean, I like those intricate storylines. It certainly sounds interesting with the cast of people that you're going to have. Hopefully you got Larry Hankin playing some crazy funny guy because, man, he's super fucking good at that because he's funny.
He's playing a pawn shop owner.
Oh, dude, he's going to be so good at that.
Yeah.
That's
Um,
perfect for him. He just looks like that guy, like, I'm
and
not
kind of
fuck.
and kind of like a skeevy pawn shop owner.
Yeah, I see it. I definitely see it.
Yeah,
He's
it'll be
perfect.
good. It'll be good. But yeah, people can find me on. Well, I mean, you can find me on Instagram and Twitter. It's at phunge194, and then you can find me on Facebook at official P Harney as well. And also, you can find me on IMDb. You can check out all the projects that I'm doing. You can see, if you follow me on social media, when the Indiegogo campaign goes up, we'll be posting all about it everywhere. Try to get as many people involved in it as we can. So that's the best way to find me. And I'm not on Twitter all that much. I don't really like
I
Twitter
don't
all that
blame
much,
you.
but
I don't blame you.
but Facebook and Instagram is kind of my main. And
Main spots.
yeah, so it'll be good. I'm excited for the projects that are coming up. I've got a few projects that I'm waiting to film. Um, yeah, so those, and I got a few projects that are coming out pretty soon here. So um, yeah, that's where you can find me. And I appreciate you having me on your show, man.
Yeah, man, and it certainly sounds like we're gonna have you back because you've got stuff coming up, and we're here to help people promote it. So appreciate
Okay.
you being on the show, Patrick, and all you fuckers enjoy your day.